And we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers and, him talking about possibly returning in mid-December. Now, I did talk about this earlier in the show, but listen, I would love for him to come back. I really would. I would, because I really wanted him to go out this year and play well and play up to, the caliber player that he is. Now, obviously, he's not the same Aaron Rodgers that he once was. He can't make the throws on a consistent basis like he used to. He's a different player now. But I think, if he was playing for the Jets right now, they definitely would have won a few more games. But that on one hand. But on the other hand, you could say, well, that offensive line has been bad. He would have got hurt anyways. And, yeah, he would have. Now, he did talk about his intention of coming back maybe in mid-December. Which I mean, listen, people could say he's crazy or whatever, that it's not going to happen and whatnot. But if it does happen, how, we should be, we should be celebrating that. Because a player who, especially at his age, this isn't a young Aaron Rodgers. This is an older Aaron Rodgers. Coming off of an Achilles tear, gets a surgery, and is able to come back 4 months later. I mean, that's remarkable. Now, is it a good idea or a bad idea? Well, now here's the thing. If it all depends on where the Jets are. Because right now, the Jets are, well, now they're under 500 after dropping their last two games badly. So the Jets currently are 4-5. They're 2 games back of the wild card. Now they play the Texans hold the spot. They do play the Texans at home, so they could win that game. I don't think right now. I would lean towards no. But Rodgers comes. If the Jets could somehow get to 6-6, I think that's what people are talking about. You get to 6-6, and you get Aaron Rodgers back for maybe the final 4 games of the season, then you got a shot. But I mean, it is going to be it's going to be tough, and especially because again the offensive line isn't great. And that is something that I worried about this whole time. I said, is the offensive line going to hold up and protect him? Because listen, Rodgers can scramble, but he's not young anymore. He takes another hit, that could be it. And sure enough, 4 plays into the year, and he tears his Achilles, which was horrible to watch. It really was. But at least he's gonna attempt to come back. If it's not this year, he's gonna attempt to come back next year and play. And I want to see him play. I don't want him to go out like that. I don't. Now, the big discussion is, if he comes back and the Jets are out of it, does he still play? If he wants to play. For me personally, I would I would lean more towards saying no. I wouldn't want him to play because, if you haven't come back and he's playing in meaningless games, you don't want to see him get hurt again. Because what happens if he gets hurt again? Then he sets himself back for next year. I mean, it's going to be tough to say no to him if he wants to, but I would definitely sit him because, I mean, even if he is able to play, because I'm not having you play meaningless games. Just continue to, rehab and get yourself ready for next year. But I mean, if the Jets still have a chance, you know, and he's ready to play, then you play him. And I mean, there's been a lot of back and forth this week about Zach Wilson and how he's played. Um, is he part of the problem? Yes. Is he a big part of the problem? Yeah, he is. But there's also a lot of other factors too. I mean, the offensive line, the play calling, and yeah, I mean the Jets. We talked about the weapons. Yeah, they don't really have a lot of weapons. They have Garrett Wilson. You got Breece Hall. But outside of that, I mean, Alan Lazard. I mean, Jet fans are done with him. They are really done with him. And it's they signed him to a big contract. They did before the season started, and that really hasn't panned out. It really has not panned out the way they hoped it would. Randall Cobb they brought in. He really hasn't done anything. They're trying to get the rookie Xavier Gibson more involved. They just cut Michael Carter. The Cardinals picked him up. Dalvin Cook's been a massive disappointment. Yeah, the weapons really haven't been good. The offensive line, I mean, is not good either. They have a lot of issues on offense, and it's unfortunate because their defense has really has been the strength of the team. It has, but they if they don't force turnovers and give the offense good field position, I mean, they have trouble scoring points, and you saw that the other night. And I thought Zach Wilson made a couple of good throws, but the interception was bad. It's just, but it's like, oh man, but Zach, Zach has been good. He's been improving. I know, but it's like he's not the guy, and it's not necessarily his fault. With well, again, like he is part of the problem, but he's not like. There's so many other things going on. And I agree with what people say. Like, they should have brought in another backup quarterback to back up Rodgers. It should not have been Zach Wilson. But they thought that, if they brought in, that you bring in Rodgers, he can help groom Zach Wilson and make Zach Wilson a better player. Now, there are times when Zach Wilson does, like, the Rodgers, like, sidearm, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, just throw the ball. Yeah, it's just, it's been a rough year for the Jets. I don't know how the rest of the season is going to play out, but now they're playing Buffalo on Sunday, and, I mean, they could definitely keep it close. Josh Allen has not been good against the Jets the last couple of years. The Jets forced turnovers against him. But, I mean, they just can't score points. And again, like, yeah, they'd be better with Rodgers. But Rodgers probably wouldn't have got hurt anyways. Because this offensive line it's not good. And they're dealing with injuries too. Vera Tucker getting hurt again. That really hurt their offense. I mean, it really stinks. Because you wanted to see how they could do. But you also had wide receivers dropping passes too. I mean, even Lazard, like, in the game on Sunday, like, Wilson throws him a pass, and Lazard, like, almost dropped it. He bobbled it, caught the pass. It's just, it's a lot. There's a lot of issues with the Jets right now. And I don't know, like, what's going to happen after this year? Like, Rodgers is going to come back. But, like, is he, are the Jets going to be able to improve the roster to, make sure they can protect him, because you got to fix this offensive line. That's the bottom line. Like, you got to fix that, because right now that's an issue. So, yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see how it all goes. Again, the Jets have a big game against Buffalo this week. So, we'll just have to. They got to get to. I mean, if you get to 6-6, Rodgers comes back in December. Yeah, maybe you got a shot to make a run at the playoffs. I don't know. It's really gonna be tough. It is gonna be tough, but we'll have to see. Again, I want to see Rodgers play, but it's right now it's I don't think it's a possibility that he comes. I mean, it's a possibility he's going to come back, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. So, but hey, but again, if he's able to come back, I mean, that really would be a miracle. It really would. And I would be so happy about that. As long as he doesn't get hurt again. Because you never know. But yeah, I mean, he's trying to defy the odds. And I hope he does. And I hope he does somehow lead the Jets to the playoffs. And we get to see him in the playoffs playing against Burrow, playing against Mahomes, playing against all these quarterbacks. I want to see that. But we will just have to we'll see what the Jets can do. I mean, the only way they're really going to win games is if their defense forces turnovers and gets their offense, short field position. But then again, like, Jets can't score touchdowns. I mean, Zach Wilson ran in a touchdown, it looked like, but that ended up getting called back, or ended up stepping out. Breece Hall gets a touchdown. They call that back for a holding. I mean, the other thing, too, is penalties. Penalties really have killed this team. Really. It's been a rough go for the Jets the past couple of weeks. We'll see if they can turn it around on Sunday. I don't think they are. I think they're kind of done right now. So, but I think, listen, if you're in the playoffs and Rodgers comes back, like if you're still in the playoff picture, Rodgers comes back, he plays. He should play. But if they're out of it and he's able to come back and play, I wouldn't play him. So I'm kind of in agreement on that. So but yeah, let me know what you guys think. If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, regardless of what the Jets situation is, should he play, or if they're out of it, should they sit him? So with that, we are going to take our final break of the show, and then when we come back, we are going to discuss the big game, massive game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals, and I will preview that when we come back. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.